Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Good Shabbos. It's wonderful to celebrate the holiday together. Our beautifully decorated bima, songs of Hallel, and our Hoshanot to come. One of my fondest memories of rabbinical school is Sukkot. The sukkah at the Jewish Theological Seminary, JTS, is world-renowned. The largest sukkah that I've ever seen or been in. It spanned the entire inner courtyard of a New York City block, custom built to fit hundreds and maybe even 1,000. The entire student body and faculty of the institution, it really was wide enough to fit the entire community. And that's a model and a theme that I'd like to share today. Can we build a sukkah, a home that is big enough for everyone? There, when I was in New York and a student, every meal was served for us for the entire week of Sukkot in the sukkah. There were lectures and programs, and every year, even Dr. Ruth came to visit and instruct us. You can imagine about what. It was a true gathering spot, a gathering place on the festival of ingathering, Chag HaAsif, Sukkot. The roof was always covered there at JTS with pine branches. And the food was always delicious, even when the pine needles fell into our soup. A little bit of what we call natural flavoring. Sukkot is known as Zman Simchatenu, our day of great joy, and perhaps that's a little bit of the recipe for joy. Whatever falls in your soup, it makes it even better. Sukkot, though, is a holiday of paradoxes. When we hold two seemingly contradictory truths together, we balance them and live in both of them. Just like Hillel taught, am I only supposed to be for myself? But if I am, what type of person am I? Do I have to dedicate myself selflessly to community? On Sukkot, our festival of ingathering, we go outside. We leave our holy space, and we go outside and create another space, even though this is the festival of ingathering. Paradox 2, Zman Simchatenu, the time of our great joy. It's a requirement to be happy on Sukkot, and yet this is the holiday when we are exposed to the elements, when we expose our vulnerabilities, when we take risks and sit outside regardless of how cold it is, when we bundle up in our layers, and when we perhaps even get rained on, but we're happy. Today is the day we read from the Bible's most saddest book, Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, which says that life is all futility. Hevel hevalim. There is nothing new under the sun. Kohelet's, though, underlying question is, what is the meaning of life? Kohelet's answer is that we should enjoy every moment that we have and dedicate ourselves to a higher purpose. When we do that, we will truly be happy. Paradox number 3. I'm not sure about you, but I'm not a carpenter, I'm not a builder, and yet I am obligated to build a house. We are advised that the sukkah's walls must be strong enough to last for 7 days, but impermanent enough to be blown down by the wind's gusts. They were gusting all night, by the way. It's truly supposed to be a temporary structure. I heard my roof clanging all night, literally. I was happy it was there in the morning. Our building project, though, requires no zoning permits. City ordinance allows an addition to be added to our home for 7 days only, and that's it. Paradox number 4, the roof. The natural roof of our sukkah, the srach, made of perhaps bamboo mats or bamboo poles, greens, branches, corn stalks, or pine stalks, are required to provide shade from the harsh sun, but the roof must be open enough so that we can see 3 twinkling stars and, of course, get rained on if necessary. Sukkot marks a monumental moment for the Jewish people. Sukkot is a time to gather as community. And in fact, this particular Sukkot is very special. This one is known as Hakhel. Hakhel is the penultimate mitzvah in the entire Torah, mitzvah number 612 if you're counting. When every 7 years, at the end of the Shemitah sabbatical year, which we just finished, once upon a time, all Jews of the entire world would gather in Jerusalem on this particular cycle right now after the 7th year of Shemitah. And what would we do? We would learn Torah together. This is we read Torah 3 times a week. But in ancient times, it's unclear how often they were prescribed to read Torah. This was actually the only time that our people were prescribed to study Torah, during Hakel, on Sukkot, at the end of the 7th year of Shemitah. It was on this day that if there was an Israelite king, a Jewish king, he would read the Torah aloud to all the entire Jewish people amassed together, teaching our ancestors, our laws, our ethics, and our principles, the teachings of our tradition when we were gathered together as one, once every 7 years. This was called a recommitment ceremony, perhaps a renewal of vows, reenacting Sinai's covenant with God. This was a moment of true achdut, of unity, a rededication to our highest values. On Sukkot, when our tradition requires us to gather together to learn and rededicate ourselves to a higher purpose. There is a code word, if you want to look for code words in Sukkot, and that code word is Kehillah. We have Hakel, Kehillah, and Kohelet. Those 3 come from the same shorish, the same root, which means community. Kehillah is community. On Sukkot, we are reminded that we live in a world of paradox, in constant change and instability, when we're both so powerful and protected and strong, and yet we are vulnerable, we are exposed, and we must take risks in life. Sukkot also provides us with a strategic plan how to build Kehillah, how to create, how to sustain, how to be a Kehillah Kedosha, a community that is open, supportive, united, positive, moving forward, adaptive, and dynamic. And I want to share a couple of those lessons that Sukkot teaches us, how to build community, because as you know, we are at an inflection point with our own community. We are moving forward, building and rebuilding together. So step 1, if we're going to say Sukkot is our strategic plan, is community structure. Walls are important. Walls are the supports that hold up the roof above our heads. The laws of Sukkot, though, don't specify what material sukkah walls can be made from. They can be made from plastic or fabric or wood or brick or glass. Go down the list. And in fact, if you've ever heard me tell the Chelm sukkah contest story, there the story has the baker makes a sukkah out of dough, the librarian stacks up books and makes a sukkah. Walls, you can make your walls out of whatever you want. But walls have to be supportive enough to hold up the roof above our heads. We must be a supportive community as well, that cares for all, that holds up the roof over everyone's head. We should be like the sukkah walls. In fact, the Hasidic rabbis say that walls aren't exactly required, that people can be walls, that we can be supportive walls to other people and protect all those in our community. Walls, of course, provide protection, necessary security in our world. Nina Beth Carden, the Jewish educator and teacher, teaches, good fences make good neighbors. We build boundaries and walls, both physical and invisible, to protect ourselves, and we have to in order to live in this world. But the reality is that our walls can't fully protect us, whether it's uncertainty, illness, distrust, hopelessness, fear of failure. What truly enables us to cope with life that is uncertain is the walls that we open, the doors that we open. The ultimate security is found not within the walls of our home, but in the presence of one another. When you come to our sukkah, hopefully you all come and join us for lunch today, the doors are, we don't have a door in our sukkah, right? You're going to just walk in because it's open, and that's the type of walls that we should have. Because community means open homes, open walls, and open hearts to each other. Our roof must be holy. We have to have a very holy roof. Thank God our sanctuary has a very sturdy roof. No leaks, not a beautiful roof, a beautiful high roof, right? But on Sukkot, our roof needs to be holy. It needs to be open enough to see the stars. We are star-gazing people. If we see the opening story of Abraham, God walks Abraham outside and says, look up at the stars. You may have seen those images from NASA's new Webb telescope. And the images are breathtaking. Have you seen the pictures of those stars? We see stars from across the universe. We are awe-filled, living with wonder. We know that there are brilliant lights that are across the sky. So what does that teach us about community? We have to aim big. We have to see stars. We have to see the potential where our community can go and grow. We also have to see the holes in our community, like the holy roof, and identify what we need to do to make our community bigger and better so that we can reach the stars. Our sukkah is never complete, always changing and growing. Every year we add to our sukkah, whether it's a decoration or a wall or something new or new lights, right? We're always fixing and rebuilding and growing. It's not up to us to finish the task, but we can't stop from it. Lo alecha hamlacha likmor. Sukkah teaches us that our work is never done as a community. We must be adaptable and flexible and keep our eyes open to how we can best grow as a community and add on to our sukkah. We're also a community that takes risks and takes new initiatives. We change and we're dynamic. The blessing that you say over lulav and etrog is al netilat lulav. The 4 species, the key mitzvah of Sukkot. That phrase al netilat lulav, netilah means, do you know what it means? It means to take. We take the lulav, that we're supposed to take advantage of opportunities. We're supposed to take risks. We are supposed to live with initiative, and that we have to break down walls. We need to go outside of ourselves. We need to be exposed to the elements and lift up. The other netilah blessing, by the way, is netilat yadayim. There we wash our hands before we eat bread. Why do we say it there? Because we elevate our hands like the priests elevate in priestly service, and they lifted their hands to help the people. So when we say netilat lulav or netilat yadayim, we elevate our hands and we elevate ourselves so that we can lift other people up and be in service to community. When we lift others up, we climb together. And that's what Sukkot means. The final teaching that helps us with our guide, with our strategic plan for how to build community, is the lulav and etrog itself. The 4 species, the myrtle and the willow, they represent different people, the rabbis say. Different tastes, different strengths, different weaknesses that we have, but they are bound together as one. We hold them together in our hands. We are a community bound together, responsible for each other. When one of those elements is missing, we can't say the blessing. Everyone is important in our community, and we must care for all. We must make sure that everyone in our community is truly a part of us, and then we can be one community together. So Sukkot, our sacred building and rebuilding project, our ongoing work to continue to build and rebuild ourselves in our community, that is what we are celebrating today with that paradox of vulnerability and strength in moving forward. We are reminded on this holiday to take a moment to offer gratitude for where our community is right now, but also through our holy roof to look to the stars and see that we can go to even brighter things together. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.